Hey, what's up everybody? Gray Spartan 1 here, and welcome back to XCOM 2 War of the Chosen. In this mission, we're playing The Lost and the Damned, the first story mission, new DLC story mission available to us in this playthrough. So what this mission is, by the way, I kind of lost my audio, my original audio for this. And yeah, I made some mistakes on Audacity and accidentally deleted it when I was making part 2, and I got confused because I don't label my files correctly. So this is kind of, I'm just watching the video along with you guys, I suppose, which will be different. It'll be a different kind of commentary that I've never done before. But anyway, Lost and the Damned is, the introduction to the Reaper faction and the Skirmisher faction. But not the Templar faction. I kind of really wish it's something that actually doesn't happen in the new DLC, but they don't introduce the Templar faction with a story mission, which is too bad because the Templars are really fun. They're actually, in my opinion, my favorite class to use because they're just so different. I mean, they're kind of like a ranger with their sword, right? But that's all they have. They have like a mini Uzi. They have an Uzi, but that's pretty much all they have. Is their like blades, their psionic blades, which are really cool, and they have abilities to. You can just stick them out in the middle of nowhere, and they have an ability that can reflect damage back to enemies or completely negate damage. That's called the parry ability. We'll see that later, but yeah, right now we're looking at the Reapers, or eventually we're going to be looking at the Reapers and the Skirmishers, and we're also going to get an introduction to the Lost, which are kind of like zombies. I mean, they're basically zombies. They're not too hard, but they can be. They can, like, when we get into it and we see it, I think I'll discuss that a little bit further. Right now I think I'm just kitting out my guys. So this mission's interesting because you actually pick 2 squads of 2 to go out. And my thinking on this is the first squad is going to meet the Reapers, and this squad is going to meet the Skirmishers. And the Reapers are really stealthy and just a very good kind of ranger, well, more of a scout kind of class. So you'll see when we get in there that they have this crazy ability that allows them to take a shot and not get revealed. Now I know, this is actually a mission that has been played a lot before the game even came out, barring the fact that I'm uploading this several weeks after the DLC has already been released. But this is a pretty well-known story mission that it's been around since probably July, maybe even earlier, maybe late June. I'm not really too sure, but the devs have even played it on their channel and stuff like that. But it's a really good mission. It's a good introductory mission. The Lost can be really difficult in later months of the game, as you get into the late game, if you don't have a special card orders. So once we do this mission, we'll unlock covert ops, which these covert operations, I'll let Bradford talk.
You'll split into 2 squads, rendezvous with each faction, and bring their envoy directly to the location of the meet. Officially, this city no longer exists, so we don't expect a lot in the way of advent resistance. Still, keep your eyes peeled. It's been about 20 years since we last stepped foot in this place.
So, man, there's going to be another cutscene here in a minute. So maybe I should remain quiet and finish my thoughts later.
First set of coordinates. Firebrand and the second team will head to the next drop point. Detecting increasing biological signatures in the area ahead. Then I'd say we're in the right place. Stay sharp out there today, people. Just because this city was abandoned doesn't mean it's lifeless.
If you are hungry, there's more where that came from. Impressive reflexes, but unnecessary.
Stand down. We're all friends here.
You are safe here. More so than you imagine. We shall see if the same holds true for these skirmishers of yours. Your presence already disturbs them. We must move quickly. My people will take care of this camp. Come.
I'm not going to get to finish my thought yet, because this is a very dialogue-heavy mission.
We don't know much about the skirmisher contact you'll be meeting other than his name. Mox.
Mox. Praetor Mox. His death squads wiped out entire camps of my people in the first years of the war. You would dare do this?
Pretty sure hands are bloody on both sides of this fight. That's the whole point of this intervention.
Reapers are born in the shadows, in the cold, harsh world that was waiting for us out there. We rely on stealth and long-range attacks. And our marksmen are unmatched by even the best XCOM has to offer.
Damaged and dormant all these years, these devices still emit trace elements of unstable radiation. I cannot fathom what they were like in their original function. We were there, Doctor. You're better off having missed it.
Oh boy. And here are the first Lost.
No more time for regrets. We are not alone.
Those things, they still look like people.
What was human died years ago. Only the taint of the aliens survives now. Where
I like
there is
the,
one, more will follow. You must not
The
hesitate
maps.
to
I like the
destroy them.
Lost maps. The abandoned city maps.
DNA has mutated well beyond what we would classify as human. Perhaps the result of long-term exposure to the alien radiation from those pods. Though why anyone would subject themselves to that, I cannot imagine.
When the governments fell, millions starved. Many fled to cities such as this to scavenge for food. They did not heed the warnings.
So as long as you hit the
These
Lost,
creatures' true strength lies in their
well,
numbers. As
you
see,
can
they
chain
fall
shots together. You don't miss, you don't lose a turn, you don't lose an action point, but when you miss, you end your turn, basically. Unless you have a ability that allows you to take 2 shots at once, which the skirmishers let you do. The skirmishers have 3 action points. And as you can see here, Dragon Nova's HUD is completely different. She has an extra conceal, and she has a 50% chance to reveal on any shot. There are later abilities where if your shot manages to kill the enemy, you have a 0% chance to be revealed from that shot, which is super useful. And I use Reapers to kind of skirt around the edges of maps. So they kind of, they're kind of not a full soldier because they're not always firing. They're kind of situational. They also get a claymore and an ability called, if you pick it, Remote Start, which allows you to destroy any explosive object, be it a, you know, an explosive barrel or a car, which can, and it doesn't reveal them when you do that. So it's a very powerful ability that you know, you go up, you scout out an enemy position, you maybe wait to spring a trap until they get near a car and you blow it up, which activates the pod, but doesn't necessarily draw them to you and doesn't reveal the Reaper. So it's a really useful ability, and the Claymore works the same way. You can throw a Claymore with Dragon Nova, and if you haven't moved, you can shoot it in the same turn, and it causes really good damage, but doesn't reveal the Reaper. So it's a very... the Reapers are in a lot of ways very overpowered. They're kind of the most overpowered class that probably... I mean, I like them a lot, and I wouldn't want to see them get nerfed, but I could definitely see them get nerfed later when they start doing updates for the game and stuff like that. So covert actions. So that's important. There's a covert action for the Lost, which you get these, well, not a covert action, but a order. So the difference between a covert what is a covert action and what is an order? So we'll see this later on in this video, But a covert action is kind of a lot like how they were an enemy within, right? You send some operatives to, so there you can see the 50% thing. I didn't get triggered. And the next time I take a shot, it'll actually be like 70%. Anyway, so covert actions are a lot like they were an enemy within. You send a guy out to do a mission, and after a certain number of days, you either get a mission unlocked or you unlock some kind of perk of some kind. So it's a little bit different than enemy within, but it works in a lot of the same way. Okay, another important thing here is that Dragon Nova's detection radius on enemies is way lower than it is on regular soldiers when they're in concealment, which is incredibly useful. Advent soldiers you can basically walk up to within one tile of them and they won't see you. Very insane, very powerful. So covert actions, a lot of the different things that you can do is you can get new soldiers, you can get promotions for your soldiers, you can unlock new attachments for your weapons, new story missions, ability points, just a whole range of things. Pretty much everything. You can sabotage the avatar program and buy yourself a little bit more time. Just a whole bunch of different things that you can do. Very, very fun, I think, and kind of gives you a reason, gives you an excuse to cycle your soldiers in and out more often, and even your rookies can gain interesting abilities because you can actually, like, as you send people out, they might get perks like I said, a promotion, or +2 to aim, +2 to health, +2 to dodge, you know, the stats that a soldier would have. So you can have a rookie, if you just send the same rookie out all the time, who's actually really good. Oh, I just got revealed by a Lost. Detection radius is a little bit further on Lost, even for Dragon Nova, than it is for regular troops. And so now I could reconceal, but I'm probably not going to reconceal just yet, because now I can use her as a regular trooper instead of kind of just having her as a scout. Which right now, you know, not a big deal. There's only Lost here in this section of the game. There isn't really anything else. So something actually I wanted to talk about is the maps here. So the devs have talked about how they really liked going back to the old Enemy Unknown maps. So if you've ever played Enemy Unknown, you kind of can see how similar these maps are, just like decayed versions of the maps that you saw in Enemy Unknown. And, you know, fighting in kind of the same, like these bookstore kind of things look so reminiscent to me of missions in Enemy Unknown. And that pub too that we were just through earlier, same thing. These are really just the most fun to play in terms of maps. And you know, the Lost can be a pain in the butt. You can get an order, which orders are kind of just like special abilities that you can have. Like maybe there's an order that adds a chance on each mission to have an Advent soldier join your team on your side, which is funny, or a resistance soldier, like a rookie, to join your team on your side. And those are fun. And then you can have, there's one called Between the Eyes, which I kind of feel like is essential to have. They're all random. You don't like get to pick which one you want. It's just randomized which ones you get, and you can do covert actions to get new orders. But Between the Eyes makes it so, especially in later levels, that every hit that you get on a Lost results in a kill, no matter their health points. So you'll see that Lost kind of have varying health point totals. Some Lost have 2 bars of health right now, some Lost have 3, some Lost might have 5. Right now there's no Lost that has more than 3. So this is going to be a problem later, and you'll see with my sniper, because pistols are very useful for, that's why I brought a sniper on this mission, is that you'll find that sharpshooters, I don't really use them as much in War of the Chosen, to be honest, but in these kind of missions, sharpshooters don't have ammo for their pistols, right? Whereas these guys, you know, you get, if you move and take a shot, you get 4 shots, assuming that you hit them all. Or if you don't move, you get a total of 8 shots, because you have 2 actions that get refunded each time you get a shot. So, but you can, the maximum I could do with these soldiers right now is 8 shots. And on Dragonova, the maximum, total maximum that I could do is 6. But when you're moving and stuff like that, it's really just 4. So you're limited with each soldier. I mean, you get a lot of actions, but especially depending on the difficulty you play as or how far you are in the game.
If only your speeches could take down
I forget that they talk in between each mission.
In your general area are clear. No more creatures on approach.
For now.
Then let's not linger here. Head to the evac coordinates now. You should have a clear path through now. Second squad is already en route to Mox. Proceed to the rendezvous and await their arrival.
Oh, we'll be there.
But you can see how having a soldier that doesn't have to reload with their pistol is, and you know, snipers have really good aim bonuses, so they're just a natural, you know, fit for these kind of missions, because they can just, you can just set them in front of 50 Lost, since you can have a ton of Lost in later missions, and just bam, 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 and you can take them all down on like 95% or 100%. They are ridiculously overpowered.
Looks like trouble ahead. The rendezvous could be compromised. Stay focused. Contact! Get down! We may have a bigger problem here. I'm guessing that's our man. Well, our contact anyway.
Crocksod. Advent. Hobbit. Voxtola. 410. They were sent here to hunt. To purge the Drop 10. The Lost. Our meeting point is still secure.
Their faces.
Imposter gods. I would give anything that all my kind could say the same. Even sit down with your Reapers. Now, we must go.
Rendezvous with Outrider is further ahead. Proceed through this district as quickly as possible, but be careful. Something tells me this city still has a few more surprises to throw our way.
Surprises are the least of our worries today. It is these Reapers of yours that are of true concern.
We, the skirmishers, were created by the false gods of this world to serve and die as their puppets. We retain all that we were and more, and our prowess in battle serves us well in our cause. In close combat, none can stand opposed to us.
Alright, so, ooh, loud. Why is that so loud? There we go, that's better. I changed my volume and I could hear my voice. Oh, it was creepy. Anyway, so Mox right now isn't wearing his actual armor. If you notice in his portrait in the upper right hand corner, he's got that fuzzy armor. Whereas in this, he has a backpack. That's due to, oops, I hit my keyboard. That's due to the mod that I have that allows you to change the armor decorations.
Purifiers were created with a singular purpose, to contain the Drop 10, the Lost. We must eliminate this patrol quickly before others arrive.
Fine by me. Take them down.
When this game first was announced and they were talking about skirmishers as a faction, which are former Advent soldiers, I kinda didn't like the idea, but now that I've played the game and seen the skirmishers, I actually think they're incredibly interesting. They're actually, like, Mox as a character is probably my favorite character in the game. He's just so cool. He's so chill. And just a neat guy. The guy who plays him is really good. I don't know his name, but he's really good. And skirmishers are really strong. So like I said earlier, they get 3 action points. and they have a grapple. They have an ability called Justice right off the bat. And this is interesting. Purifiers are very inaccurate, but they lay flame everywhere. But Justice is... I'm not going to use it there because skirmish... Advent Purifiers have a... I'm not quite sure on the percentage, but they have a chance upon shooting them to blow up. But I don't think they'll blow up here in this mission. But so Justice, what Justice does is it uses the grapple to pull the enemy towards you, and then you slash them with the skirmisher's kind of like hook blade thing, which is really useful actually. So say you got an enemy that's really far away and high cover. Here we'll see. Yep, didn't explode, but they can.
The patrol has been liberated. May their lives not be lost in vain. We must push forward and complete our mission.
Works for me. Move out.
Reloading.
So, what was I saying? Oh, so yeah, you have a guy maybe who's in high cover. Nobody has any good shots on him. You bring Mox along. He has a decent chance to hit with Justice. He pulls them out of high cover, damages them, and now they're right there probably amongst your troops. Mox is kind of a close range kind of unit. His bullpup assault SMG works similar to the shotgun in terms of range penalties. But if you give him, buffs for his aim, he's actually a pretty decent mid-range guy as well. We're going to bring Mox up here, which is going to trigger a cutscene here in a second.
This is no patrol. It's an army.
Yes, one we do not have time to face.
Everyone, get back! Purifiers may be down, but unfortunately, that was our extraction point.
I fear that is not the worst of it. Multiple biological signatures rapidly on approach to your position.
The lost. The sound of combat excite them. They are drawn to it.
And you just blew up a fuel truck?
There was no other choice. Find an alternate exit. We will deal with the lost. Draklar. Dashers. They are not as docile as the rest of their kind.
An apt description. It would seem the mutation has somehow accelerated these Dashers' metabolism, allowing enhanced speed and agility, with a corresponding increase in aggression.
So Dashers, from this distance, if I don't kill them, could actually hurt me. They have, again, I'm not too sure on their full stats, but they have quite a fair distance that they can move and still hit you. So Dashers are very dangerous. There's another class called Brutes, which have a really high health and do more damage, but they're just as slow as regular Lost. And that whole bit with the cutscene about the explosions is actually true, so bringing a Grenadier on this mission isn't ideal. Because every time you use a grenade, that increases a counter that's running in the game that in this mission isn't actually started, but on every other later Lost mission, you're going, oh, we're going to use Justice here, see how that works. And there we go. Look at that. Pretty nifty. Wacha. So in later missions where there are Lost present, it's about like every 4 or 5 turns, a counter that you can't see will be counting down internally in the game, and you can see there's one Dasher back there, how far he's going to move. Missed. We were going after the Dasher. And he'll move right up to me. And those other guys didn't move almost at all. But every time you use a grenade or an explosive device, and see, there we go, the pistol thing, he had 4 health, and I wasn't paying attention. So that in between the eyes thing is really useful. So every time you use a grenade, the counter goes down and increases the chances, increases decreases the time in which a horde of Lost will show up within the game, until eventually, if you use too many explosives, they will start instantaneously showing up within the same turn, which can be very bad. Especially, you know, if you got like 10 Lost already on the mission, and now another pack of 10 come in, and you're kind of screwed. So let's see, what else? This guy, he has 3 health, so he's not going to be too bad for her to take down. But so something really interesting you might be wondering, which is something I definitely wondered, is how did the skirmishers, who were former Advent, how did they get free? Why is it that they kill their former comrades instead of attempting to free them? So according to the in-game lore that is available from the commander's quarters on the Avenger, the first skirmisher, who's Bentos, who is the female skirmisher who talked to us at the very beginning, she was like, "We are the skirmishers," that chick. She was the first Advent. She was the first free Advent, and how that came to be is that I haven't gotten there in the research yet, but there are chips inside each Advent soldier's head that creates a psionic link. And when the commander was inside the Advent network, like in his little pod thing, he was actually unconsciously communicating and controlling all the Advent troops tactically, which increased Advent's effectiveness and basically allowed the aliens to take over, right? So these chips that are inside every Advent trooper, and there's an advanced chip. Bradford talking. Inside captains, the chip is a little bit different and it creates kind of a stronger link. But anyway, so every Advent trooper has this chip. And in Bentos, the original Advent who was freed, the chip malfunctioned. So you can't actually just, it seems, according to the lore, that you can't just remove these chips, but rather these chips have to, that was a terrible shot. These chips have to kind of, they need to be defective for it to work. Which is why they can't just free every Advent, because these Advent's chips still work. So that's why he's like, oh, we have liberated them, we have freed them, because they can't save them. They're unsavable unless their chip has a defect in it. And that is why the Skirmisher faction exists. They're just a collection of all the kind of rejected, defective Advent soldiers that are created. And so that swarm appearing thing is actually the mechanic for if you use... Ooh, there's a lot of dashers in that one. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dashers. So yeah, we're gonna... Here you can see how powerful the pistol can be against large groups of enemies as long as their health is only 2. So we have to be very selective right now because we don't have the in-between... Oh god, my keyboard. We don't have the in-between the eyes perk. Which means a guy like that wouldn't be an ideal shot. But a guy like that is a guaranteed kill. Okay. So I think that's kind of, you know, that's the lore of the Skirmishers. And as for the Reapers, their lore, I don't recall how explained this was in previous episodes, but the Reapers eat aliens, like straight up. they eat aliens, and that's why there was that chrysalid head on that campfire. They're basically just like though any other human faction. They're just a lot more stealthy. The only weird thing that they do is they eat aliens, which is considered weird even in this alternate universe, and I can see why it's considered weird. Yeah, the Reaper's backstory actually isn't really all that interesting. The Templars, though, when we meet the Templars, their leader is named Geist. And the guy who voice acts Geist is a very well-known voice actor. And, yeah. Maybe some of you will recognize his voice from a particular children's show that I at one time, it was My Little Pony. Okay, he played Discord in My Little Pony, and yes, some of you might have a very negative opinion that I know that. Anyway, moving on. Templars are founded by a guy named Geist, and Geist was a former XCOM operative. He's actually one of the only few former, like, confirmed by canon former XCOM operatives. And what makes him so interesting is that he was actually, I think, supposed to be the chosen one, or whatever they called them in the original XCOM games. The first soldier who you created, who was psionically, had psionic abilities. He's that guy. He's the volunteer. That's what he's called. He's the volunteer. And if you go back, I actually have the end scene for Enemy Unknown. And he's the guy who takes the capital ship up in the air and destroys it, who sacrifices himself for humanity in the ending of Enemy Unknown, which doesn't occur in XCOM 2 because XCOM 2 assumes that you lost the original XCOM game, right? So he's really interesting in that way, and his story is that during the fall of XCOM, when you fail the game and the base gets raided by aliens, he is in the chamber that you used in the original game to create psionic troopers, and the process is interrupted. He somehow escapes. He has psionic abilities, but he has amnesia, and he kind of just wanders outside the base, and he picks up the name Geist because that's the name of the project to create a psionic soldier. That's the name of the research that Dr. Valen called it. Well, that's the name that Dr. Valen called the psionic research in Enemy Unknown, which is really cool. That's really cool. I really like that backstory. I really like the skirmishers, but like in terms of, I'm a sucker for kind of like the former XCOM operatives. What have they been doing and that kind of stuff, kind of backstory. I think that's really neat how that ties together. Okay. Oh, this scene, right? Okay, so this looks like the intro scene to Enemy Unknown. The guy sitting in the car. What looks like the title screen to Enemy Unknown. Go back and look at it if you can, or find a video on it if you can. I am going to be quiet for this cutscene.
Advent's most brutal captain comes to atone for his crimes.
I am no longer that being. I am free now.
Taking off that helmet does not change what you are. Reapers have long memories. Elder Cruxard. Anytime.
The way I see it, we have two options. Join forces and kick the Elders off our world, or kill each other here and now. The choice is yours.
No one has ever done that before. No one shall ever do that again.
What the hell is that?
Vox Prima, Elder Assassin, relentless death that stalks my kind, butcher of freed Advent.
My people face another like her. They are the undying, Advent's curse upon us. We must combine strength if we are to have any chance of success.
You are welcome to try.
Your Reapers face a being such as this?
They appeared without warning years ago. Had they not, we would have already regained our home.
Such arrogance. The Elder's will extends throughout the universe. I am but one of their instruments.
So, ooh, volume. I increased it again, and I can hear my voice. Anyway, so I'm going to kind of try and tell you guys the backstory of each of the Chosen as we meet them. There are three: the Assassin, the Warlock, and the Hunter. So it's never explicitly spelled out in the game, their backstory. It's only explained through codex entries. So I kind of feel like, you know, it's best to just talk about them when we first meet them. I'll let her do her introduction.
A new world awaits me.
So she has randomly generated strengths and weaknesses.
You will never.
I didn't really get a good look at either of them, so I can't comment on them, but I think they're pretty self-explanatory. So what I'm doing right here is she becomes invisible. Each of them have their own specific, you know, traits. Hers is kind of being invisible. And I think sometimes you can use the camera to your advantage, and it'll zoom in to where she is. So I'm kind of exploring right now to try to figure out if she's back there, because the only way to reveal her, unless she makes an attack, is to flank her, and then she'll be uncloaked, just like how it works with regular soldiers in concealment. But I couldn't find her, so I'm moving my soldiers around and preparing for one of them to get hit by her attack. And Overwatch doesn't work on her because she has Shadow Step, which means she won't trigger Overwatch. So I'm just going to try and hunger everybody down to increase their defense scores and decrease the possibility that she's going to get a critical hit. And she has the Bending Reed ability, which means that she can run away after hitting us and go hide. But fortunately, our Reaper's down there, and she has a weakness to Reapers. So dazed units are, if a unit stays dazed, the Chosen has a chance to either extract information from them or capture them, and you have to go on a covert action to save them. So here, we don't actually have to kill her since she's first introduced, and fortunately we weren't revealed, but this is actually all the damage that we have to do, and she'll run away because she's a big pansy.
You surprise me, XCOM. Still, the Elder's will is that none survive this day. I cannot leave that to fortune.
The sonic dispersal waves emitting from that pod are crisscrossing a massive area.
More
Meaning that
dashers.
thing just rang the dinner bell for every remaining lost in the city.
An accurate assessment. The entire lost biomass seems to be converging on this position. Then let's get you all the hell out of there. Firebrand's en route to the evac coordinates now. Get moving.
So, backstory on the Assassin. So we know that each of the Chosen, it is implied that they were formerly humans, that Advent had, and again, this isn't mentioned anywhere, so this isn't a spoiler, it's just, I feel best to explain it. They're all possibly humans, taken at different stages in life. The Assassin, it seems, was found as either a child or a teenager, probably around 20 years ago. She is the youngest of the three. The Warlock is the oldest. The Hunter is the middle child, I guess you can say. And the Assassin is the youngest, the newest Chosen. And she is very bound by duty and honor because the other two had their own problems, which I'll discuss when we meet them. And, you know, it'll kind of be obvious. There's actually a cutscene later, towards the end of this mission. Well, actually, after this mission's over, that kind of introduces you to the personalities of all three. She was raised to be completely loyal to the Elders. and is considered to be extremely effective, but she failed one of her previous missions, and I think that was she was tasked with hunting down the skirmishers. So the skirmishers really hate the assassin, and the assassin really hates the skirmishers. And she failed to eliminate the skirmishers, which caused her to feel a great amount of shame and kind of go a little bit crazy because she's trying to now prove herself again to the elders, which has distracted her from other missions that they've wanted her to do, and has kind of decreased her effectiveness, and that's why the elders are actually right now kind of mad at her, which you'll see later in this video. So here it's kind of implied that the Lost might have maybe some kind of hive mind intelligence, or just some kind of cognitive abilities that we're not actually aware of, which is an interesting concept. So what were we talking about before that? Oh, okay, so her abilities are randomly generated, and actually the idea for the Chosen came from, at least according to developers, came from, what is that game called? Shadow of Mordor? Middle-earth, Shadow of Mordor. I really like that game, by the way. I'm probably going to do a Let's Play of, the new one called War for Middle-earth or something like that. And it's based off the Nemesis system that's in that game, where every time you face a new enemy, they have randomly generated faces and abilities, and you kind of like get a rapport with them as they kill you. They taunt you and things like that, or they'll come back from the dead and be like, "Oh, you thought you killed me? Haha, no you didn't." The Chosen have a very similar interaction in this game. It's just that they're not completely randomly generated, and so far I've noticed that their abilities are pretty well the same. Last mission I played, she had Shadow Step. She didn't have kinetic plating, and as they go through the game, they can kind of level up and increase their armor. Even changes later in the game. They get special kind of ornate plating later in the game, and they get new strengths, but not new weaknesses, which sucks. They only get 2 weaknesses, but they can have like 8 strengths. There's like one where every time you hit them, it's called Planewalker, where every time you hit them, they can teleport to a new location, or for every miss that you get on them, that's kinetic plating, they'll generate shields. Or what's another one that's really shitty? For every missed shot, they can take a shot at you. For every action you take, just a bunch of different things that are really strong and overpowered. And I think her weakness was brittle, which, was it brittle? I'm not too sure. I think it might have been bewildered. So bewildered, if it was bewilder means if you get 3 people to shoot at her in one turn and hit, that causes increased damage for the rest of for everyone else who hits her. Which is incredibly useful. If you hit with all 3 of your troopers, then you have a Reaper, and hit with your Reaper, that will do insane amounts of damage. Chosen can't be killed, by the way. You have to go on a special mission to kill Chosen and find them at their base, which is fun. It can be hard, though, if you wait too long. If you do it early on, you also get there. If you do it early on, it's better. But when you do kill them, you get their weapons. The Hunter has a sniper rifle. The Warlock has an assault rifle, which is really nice. I use that on my specialists and stuff like that. And the Assassin has her sword, a katana, which does increased damage and has no risk of missing. It always hits, and it will go through 5 points of armor, so it ignores basically any unit's armor. And then she has a shotgun, which is amazing. The Hunter's sniper rifle. So something with the snipers, which has been true in all the XCOM games, is you can only fire the sniper rifle if you don't move that turn, if you have both of your actions. And if you move, you can only fire your secondary, your pistol. Well, with the Hunter's sniper rifle, you can move and still fire your sniper rifle, which is super useful and super neat.
My ammo's running low.
Right now I'm trying to level up Pavel, hoping that I can get him up to a corporal, since at the end of last mission, our ranger became afraid of sectoids, which was incredibly inconvenient. I like this guy anyway. I like his face. He has a cool face. And Dragonova was stupidly revealed. I don't even know how she got revealed. Seemed pretty cheap to me.
Target neutralized. Reloaded. Ammo out.
We're almost done with this mission.
Good to go.
Just gotta get to that extraction point and then something interesting will happen.
Covering distance.
So, I'm actually probably going to be... I'm really excited for the new Middle-earth game that's coming out. Battle for Middle-earth. What the hell is it called? I don't even remember. I'm really excited. It comes out in October. Just about a month away, I think. And, man, it's just going to be so good. I really enjoyed the first one, Shadow of Mordor. Maybe it's called Shadow of War? And this new one, you know, it goes through all of Mordor. There, you fight alongside humans, which I really like that for some reason. I like fighting alongside Gundor soldiers and stuff like that. And you get to siege strongholds, and you get orcs who are actually companions in a way, and I think that's really neat. I'm really excited for that game. There's another game that's coming out that... Oh, the new South Park game, of course. The Fractured Butthole. That's an interesting game. I might play that one. I'm not sure yet. I like... That game's fun. I played the original, Stick of Truth. And, God, South Park is ridiculous. It's sometimes just so ridiculously over the top, my God. Oh, Jesus.
Heading there now.
There's a couple other games that are coming out that I'm really excited for too that I can't quite remember off the top of my head on this channel. So I'm definitely going to be playing through the new Mordor Middle-earth game. And I'm going to be playing another game soon called Ultimate General Civil War, which is a game that's very similar to Sid Meier's Gettysburg, which is a Firaxis game, just like this game. Very old Firaxis game, though, from the 1990s. One of my favorite games growing up as a kid, though. And it plays very similar to that. It's kind of a top-down, not turn-based, it's real-time. So I guess it is kind of like an RTS. You don't build anything, though. You just control regiments that kind of have an RPG element to them. And you'll see, I'm really hoping that when I do commentary for that it actually kind of works and feels like it flows well and doesn't feel super awkward. I don't see a lot of Let's Plays or walkthroughs of that game. It's a super fun game. God, it's really hard though. I might actually play on the easiest difficulty because they, in my opinion, since I played it in July, I think, when it first came into 1.0, because it was an early access game until very recently, it still seems, at least when I played it a few months ago, it seemed very unbalanced, very difficult, incredibly difficult, just outrageously difficult. I like playing strategy games on like hard difficulty, not the hardest, especially when I'm doing Let's Plays and stuff like that, because I want there to be some drama. That's why I'm trying in this playthrough maybe to play a little bit less cautiously than I normally would, because I actually secretly do want my one or two of my guys every so often to die. And commander difficulty, that doesn't normally happen, but I'm afraid that if I was to do that on, what is it, legendary difficulty? I can't even remember what the highest difficulty in this game is called. But if I was to play on the highest difficulty, I'm afraid that either A, I would play way too conservatively, or B, I would play as how I'm thinking of playing now and get everybody killed. So there's no real middle ground. Either I play really conservatively and really smart, or I don't and get screwed. And so I feel like if I can play stupidly enough, like just kind of skirt that boundary of kind of being aggressive, yet still, and right now I'm trying to get level ups on my guys, I'm hoping. Lost have very low XP payouts. So everyone you kill is like, I think 3/5 or something really ridiculously, 1/5 maybe, of the regular experience you'd earn by killing an advent soldier. Oops. Hit my headset against the mic, sorry about that. But yeah, so that's why I'm playing Commander difficulty though, is because I want it to be fast-paced, but not to the point where everyone's dying, because I couldn't play Legendary fast-paced and kind of recklessly and expect me to even get far in Legendary difficulty. So I feel like this is a good trade-off. And I don't do Iron Man, of course, because the mods can sometimes get unstable, and didn't really work out in this situation because I caught it too late. But when something like, oh shit, I lost my first audio file, I can actually just go back and re-record it, because I can save if I really want to. In this case, the autosave was actually, the last autosave I had was right here, which was really unfortunate. I mean, like right now I guess I could go and splice back in and start talking. Cut some. Gonna be quiet.
The entire swarm converges upon us. We cannot hold this position much longer.
Outrider to Avenger, where the hell's our exit? This is as low as I can get her.
No! I do not intend to die this day. I will follow. Fox Tala 410.
Time to return home, traitor.
So I really like that. That little attention detail where Mox kind of, he gets pulled back, if you go back and look at it, before the assassin appears and he starts struggling, and
Our new alliance with these outlying resistance
I don't know.
presents an intriguing opportunity to study the varying means
Let
of
Tigan
survival
talk.
they each employed all these years.
We may have chosen a different means of resistance, but our people fight for the same reason, for the world we once knew. Together we will end this occupation, or die trying.
It might seem,
Resistance factions
Bradford.
take a more flexible approach to training than traditional soldiers. They can often learn multiple new abilities with each promotion. They will adapt to follow your choices, Commander.
So this is an interesting screen. If you build a training center, all of your soldiers actually get a screen similar to this, where you can actually go back and pick previous abilities. So Blood Trail is a really good ability, and I fuck up here actually, you'll see in a few minutes, that works. And right now, actually, if this was the original audio, I'd be explaining how I use Reapers to kind of skirt the outside of maps. And Blood Trail works really well, so you shoot with a guy who's maybe a grenadier or something, and they damage an enemy, but they're not quite dead, but they're close enough. Blood Trail would do 1+ damage to that enemy, allow Dragon Nova to do +1 damage. So Dragon Nova, you know, you'd get her over there, because in concealment, Reapers can move further than a normal soldier, and she can finish them off. It works really good with codexes. You shoot a codex, the codex is down below half health. You send Dragon Nova out there, and I stupidly bought the ability when I wanted to buy Remote Start, which I've already talked about before. Man, terrible that I did that. I'm gonna have to go back and get Remote Start. Remote Start is way better early game than Blood Trail. Blood Trail has its uses, like I said, especially in the later game once you get the ability that allows you to take a shot take a shot and kill an enemy without getting revealed or even having a chance to get revealed, which is just it's super powerful then. But Remote Start is just always useful. It's situational and tactical rigging, so the hero troops, not all of them, they have reduced utility and grenade slots. So Dragonova actually doesn't have any slots. You can't put in... The Chosen are very chatty. You can't put anything in for her to use, no utility items or anything like that, unless you unlock that ability, which is depressing.
Where our captured soldier is being held.
Thank you for sending additional support.
We're gonna start excavating. Oh, another cutscene. We'll talk more about the Chosen after this cutscene.
Together. Something has changed.
On that, we are agreed. The battlefield has shifted. Our masters have need of us once more.
Sounds to me like they're afraid.
You dare defile this place with your wretched tongue?
Oh, I dare.
Our children. Each of you possess our strength. Each of you possess our wisdom. Of all our creations, you are truly blessed. Your charge was a simple one. The subjugation of those who can see our grand design falter. We have been pleased. Until now. Our greatest asset has been lost, stolen from us, while our strongest did nothing. We are disappointed.
Thought you were the strongest.
You have fought among the humans for too long. You have been corrupted. You can be reclaimed. Yet perhaps you may also be redeemed. Perhaps you all may be redeemed. A greater battle lies ahead. Our time on this world draws to a close. Yet we need not abandon it completely at our departure. For one among you is surely ready to claim this world as their own. One among you is worthy. Return what was lost to us. Grant all that those are will. To the one that succeeds our everlasting favor. To the others. You are the chosen. Do not fail us. Now go.
So you can kind of get a good idea of who the Chosen are
known as the Reapers. They're an elusive bunch, but
and their personalities.
We can scan at this location now to start benefiting from our newfound cooperation.
So this is the commander. Dragonova spoke highly of you and the rest of your team. Trust me, but does not happen often. You are all welcome here. I will admit I had some concerns with this alliance of yours, but from what I hear, this skirmisher, Mox, was captured protecting one of my own. Reapers have long memories, Commander. We will honor our end of the deal. Vault, out.
Your tenacity could prove your undoing, Commander. If you would seek a fight with me, I hope you are truly ready to match my skills.
Alright, so there we go. And that's where the assassin is, and her kind of home base is located there. And you have to, there are covert actions that you have to unlock, 3 levels of covert actions with varying different requirements to assaulter base. I think you actually need to have a soldier at the major rank to finally defeat one of the chosen after you do 3 covert actions and find their base and assault it. And you kind of, as you go through the game, you unlock different, you meet the different chosen. It's kind of random who you meet and where.
Commander, if we intend on discovering the purpose of the chip we extracted from you, we'll need to conduct the appropriate research as soon as possible. The science is eager to begin.
Science is eager to begin. So, breakthroughs are very interesting. There's a breakthrough for pretty much every item in the game in terms of like weapons and stuff like that.
Commander, now that members of the Resistance factions have joined us on the Avenger, I thought you might want an area where you can meet to organize and plan future operations together.
So we can build the Resistance ring, but right now we want to train up a new trooper. And I actually don't remember which class I want to train up. I'm deciding who to pick. Pick her. Do I go for a Grenadier? I think I do, yeah. Grenadiers are always useful, to be honest. I mean, like, you can have a squatty Grenadier and have a squad filled with all lieutenants and captains. And the Grenadier is still going to get some kills, or at least do some damage and help, because it has 2 grenades. So the Grenadier is always a very useful class. The Specialist is, for me, the hardest class to level up, but also the most important, because you definitely 100% want multiple medics and stuff like that. Whereas, I don't know why I paused, I don't know what the heck I was originally talking about there. Especially like when you need the combat hacker thing about midway through the beginning sequences of the game, because that's when the machines, like the mechs and stuff like that, start popping up. So you need to have combat protocol for sure. And Bradford is talking, but blah blah blah. So much chatting. God. Got some rookies, which are very important because there is that tiredness mechanic to keep in mind where your will of your soldiers consistently is going down, and after a series of missions, oh my God, Bradford!
Before the local resistance cell comes out of hiding. Once we find them, we'll be up and running in the new region. Commander.
So once their knowledge reaches 4, that's when they can assault the Avenger on their own.
It'll take us some time to scan for their exact position, though. Priority message coming through.
Regular Defender assault missions still exist where a UFO will hunt you. It's kind of randomized when that happens. It's not part of a... It doesn't seem to be tied to a dark event anymore. And here are the orders that we get, and we get to pick one. And as we gain influence and find, which is tied to finding the location of, in this instance, the assassin, we will get to unlock more slots to slot in more orders. But right now we're going to go and try and save Mox, sending out recruits because there's no danger of getting ambushed, which ambushing is a type of mission where you go into a lost city and the Advent try to kill your guys and pursue you. They're pretty fun missions, to be honest. There's also a card for the Reapers. That, oh, here is the Resistance Haven mission.
I'm guessing we have you to thank for that.
Our pleasure, Den Mother. Enjoy it while it lasts.
We plan to. Our water purification
Massive signal coming from the Advent Network Tower. It's global. Sir, I think you want to see this.
Fellow citizens, for 20 years, the Advent Coalition has worked tirelessly to repair the ravages and injustices of the old world. Under our stewardship, our cities prosper, our people flourish, and our world heals. And yet, among us, there are still those who would refuse to acknowledge the truth, who are determined to see all that we have achieved
multiple radar contacts on approach to Haven Alpha 7.
That must end.
Even as I speak to you today,
You've got incoming on approach.
Your signal's breaking up. Territories to end this scourge once and for all.
They're right on top of you.
Losing you, Avenger.
Raise them again.
We will ensure your continued safety and well-being throughout this crisis.
Get your people out of there!
With your cooperation, we will overcome these radical elements and usher in another 20 years of peace and prosperity.
They don't stand a chance. Commander, we should get a squad ready to deploy.
And here we go, our first Resistance Haven defense mission. They've actually changed these missions somewhat. Added a little bit of variety. There now will be Resistance soldiers on some missions that fight with us, which is fun. But the missions those missions are a lot harder. Oh god, they can get really hard where you'll have like 4 or 5 berserkers. Oof. So now we're gonna go get kitted out for that. And I'm actually going to save the game here, which was a smart idea on my part. Just in case something happens. Also, because I have multiple playthroughs going on, which is another reason why I don't want to play Iron Man.
As soon as possible.
Because with Iron Man, you only get an autosave. And I don't want to run the risk of accidentally overwriting that autosave, which I don't think that would happen. But I can't tell you the number of playthroughs that I've actually recorded, only to have something really stupid like that happen, and me just trash the Let's Play. That's one of the reasons why I have barely any videos. It happens so frequently, this kind of stuff, where I delete an audio file or something like that, and I just give up. But I'm determined. I'm determined not to do that this time. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Well, there's 1 minute left, but I'm not doing anything, so I'm just going to cut the video off here. And, yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.